Remember, everyone, reading this fic is of your own decision. Listening to this is of your own mind. Remember, I do tons of good stories on here. So I think I'm allowed a bad fic once in a while. Especially if it helps me understand why certain fanfics are bad. I'm allowed to look through a couple of bad ones. Because it's easy to know what is bad versus when it's good. Diversity helps you come to a better understanding. And remember, if you really want me to do more good fics, comment on the good ones more. See? Easy. No. For the rest of you, welcome back to Night and Nyx, Chapter 7. Twilight and Flash Sentry left the salon and made their leisurely way to the town square. That was where the trick-or-treaters always started their rounds on Nightmare Night. And so things had been planned accordingly. The children worked their way around from town to street to street, trick-or-treating, finally gathering at the town hall for the traditional telling the Nightmare Night legend, and trek out into the woods to leave their tribute to Nightmare Moon. Twilight had told Spike and Nyx to meet her there. There was no hurry, though. Spike was a reliable little fellow, and now Alicia's looked carefully after Nyx and Twilight's absence. She and Inkspot ambled their way to town hall, chatting about this and that, simply enjoying Paris' presence. I would prefer this was last century, but what do I know? When they arrived, the square was already starting to throng with costumed children and their chaperones. Twilight spotted a few familiar faces, or would that be familiar names with unfamiliar faces. The cakes were dressed as, well, bakers, with white aprons and enormous poofy hats. They were posting an enormous pie on a bakery cart. When she drew closer, she saw that the pie had two blackbirds sitting in the middle of the open crust. The toddlers pounded pumpkin, dressed in bird-themed sleepers and looking adorable. Aww! Oh, that's a clever one, Inkspot agreed. She spied Barry Punch, nudging her daughter Ruby Pinch along. Once again, the clever mom had made good use of her few bits. They were both protected balloons. Barry Punch was covered in purple balloons that was obviously being intended to cluster of grapes. Her daughter was wearing a wicker basket with her hose poking through the bottom of the aviator's helmet on her head, and a cluster of helium-filled balloons tied up above. A balloonist! In a few steps, the excited filly would rise a couple of feet off the ground. Her mother kept a firm grip on the anchor line, tied to the filly's basket, and patiently put back down every time she tried to go airborne. Twilight shook her head. She wished she knew how the kindly mother and great grower had gotten her undeserved reputation as a lust. The mare even refused to touch liquor. Oh, no. I'm sorry, reality check. I'm a bartender, and I can get drunk if I want to. No, don't even try it, alright? Removing my flaws and my tendencies kind of sends a bad message, don't you think? That just because you happen to enjoy alcohol automatically means you're either a lust or a horrible person. You can't drink a lot of alcohol and enjoy it and still be a good mother, you know? Just for a point of order, you gotta understand that. But I'm not the one who wants to try to insult everybody. The mayor, for a change, decided to ditch the clown costume and was dressed as a vampire. She seemed to be having trouble keeping the teeth in, though. Her assistant had chose to go to a mime. It was casually casting the teeth and handing them back to her superior. There are a lot of clever and creative costumes this year. Her own was gathering quite a number of compliments. Of course, there seemed to be quite a few ponies who opted for the bargain bin approach. She spotted several ponies wearing cheap plastic poncho and rubber-banded masks that seemed endemic to the season. How did the company who made those dreadful things stay in business? She looked around. I don't see Spike or Nyx or the Key Crusaders anywhere, do you? Inkspot craned his neck, looking the other way. I'm afraid not. He sounded a little worried. Do you think we should head towards the library and try to meet them on the way? Twilight smiled. No, I'm sure they're fine. Spike is a good big brother, and Halicious is there with them, too. He probably just got hung up on getting everything ready with the CNC. You're certain? Inkspot said cautiously. Twilight nodded. They did something about making a big entrance. Twilight and Inkspot both pricked up their ears. Did you hear? Both of them said to each other. Next, the other winged foals buzzed away, accelerated the Cutie Mark Mobile Mark II down the road towards the town square. The air ponies worked the pedals inside, and the unicorn ponies contributed their magic to the propulsion. By common consensus, Scootaloo mained the wheel. Sniff, Snails, and Spike merely held on for dear life. Hitchhiking with the CMC? Bad idea. Applebloom was standing in the back, keeping a lookout for the fore and aft. The lights on the Ponyville town square were dead ahead. Okay, we're close enough, Pip! Applebloom said. Down on the gas! It's gone down to checks below. Pip said, aye! And tipped a watering can into a cooler filled with dire ice. He and Dinky began working the bells that pumped the dry ice mist out. Fog began battling from the underneath the wing finger. Sorry, Slips, Snails, Spike, you gotta get off here, Applebloom said to the trio, who were currently hanging onto the back bumper. You don't mean it's our constant mouth feet. Okay, just stop and let us off. No, sorry, no kidding. Takes too long to stop, Applebloom said. You'll hate to jump. The boys guard there. What? You weren't given time to think it over. Philly hose came out of nowhere, jabbed in their ribs, making them all yelp and lose their balance. They fell with a scream off the back of the vehicle and landed safely on their feet. They looked themselves over. They were seemingly unscathed. Ugh, how about that? Snip said. There was a clatter and a bang. Snips and Snail's red wagon fell to the pavement behind them. Honestly, y'all, Applebloom called back to them, we're only going about 5 miles an hour. Twilight and Inkspot, for that matter, everyone in the square, stared at the strange contraption that rolled into sight. It was about as tall as a pony, 3 times as long and twice as wide, and covered entirely in cardboard spray paint and silver. There was a raised conning of tower of sorts near the back. It was well lit within as without. There were portals and windows cut in various places covered in colored cellophane where the light shone through, and the outside was studded with blinking lights. Apparently it adapted from some unsuspecting heartwarming Eve tree. Tubes, dials, gauges, mirrors studded the outside as well. Both sides had bright red arrows, one labeled the past, pointing back, and one labeled the future, pointing forward. The arrows labeled past were blinking. Quite clever in how the red lights illuminated and blinked sequentially, Twilight thought idly. The finishing touches were 2 blacklit cut faces 4 in half with hands. Twilight noted and were spinning backwards in a spinning bubblegum machine light atop the roof. Fog billowed out from underneath, scurrying around the base. And strange bongs, twangs, and other describable noises like a sci-fi Foley artist had gone on a bender emanated from the 2 patrol horns jutting out smokestacks from the roof. The time machine, for so it was labeled on the bright red paint, circled the square once before pulling to center the square. It spun in a circle twice, then winging out to a halt. The Ponyvillians followed the equine instincts and gave it a wide personal space, staring in nervous apprehension from 10 good feet away. One door-sized panel inside fell down, spilling more fog and light to the square. The windows were peeled open, and 9 coated fiery heads made their appearance. Greetings! Follow the future! One of them yelled. Cutie Mark Crusaders Time Travelers! There was a round of laughter and some applause as the notorious bunch spilled out their time machine. Even the mayor joined in. Bravo! Quite good. Oh, there you go again. Oh, thank you. Good show, Crusaders. Remember, everyone, tonight's a special nightmare night. Our own Princess Luna is going to be hosting the grand opening of her new palace. There was polite applause. To commemorate the event, she is going to hold a grand masquerade ball in the palace, and all citizens of Ponyville are invited. The applause was more enthusiastic. The rest of the castle will be done up as a haunted house, with a party for the foals in the dining hall. Definitely enthusiastic. Cheers went up from the foals. So all you foals will be wanted back here in 2 hours for the telling of the legend of Nightmare Night. Then up to the castle for Princess Luna's Nightmare Night celebration. Everyone applauded. Then the youngsters began scrambling to hit the trick-or-treat path. The CMC milled in front of Twilight and her date. Was this something I would say if that was 5th century? It was a confusing impression of neon visors and shining cloth for a few moments, before she could begin to sort them out visually. Creative ones, aren't they? Inkspot chuckled to her. Twilight had to agree. She'd never seen so many variations on Time Traveler, as she just read about every Time Traveler story in the library. Pip was wearing a goldfish bowl helmet, enormous moon boots, and what looked like a mantelpiece clock around his neck like a betrayal. His little friend Dinky, on the other hand, was wearing a more Victorian outfit, a jacket, a ruffled neckerchief, and a top hat with a huge pocket watch stuck in a band. She had a map hanging out of her jacket pile labeled History of the Universe. Rumble was resplendent in a bodysuit made entirely of silver lame wraparound goggles, was looking like a digital clock stuck to his chest. Apple Bloom appeared as a sort of half-robot pony, one foreleg and black leg cased in flexible silver tubing, and her usual red bow, replaced with an enormous key dangled around her head, ankles, and wrapped around her midriff. A pair of glitterball dealy bobbers. She wore a pendant around her neck. Truffle was dressed in a gold lame and wearing a pyramid-shaped hat and tinfoil. Twist was wearing a Devo hat and belt made of blinking red lights. And Skula was wearing a black body stocking, artfully ripped here and there, eye patch, a white bandana around her head, and her purple mane sculpted into a spiky punk outfit. Twilight laughed out loud. At Inkspot's puzzled look, she said, "Private joke, tell you later." She looked around again. Where was Nyx? "Oh, Mom, you look so beautiful. Why aren't you getting into the spirit of Halloween?" Twilight turned around. There Nyx was, a visit in pale blue and midnight, turquoise eyes light in wonder. Twilight smiled, her wings fluttering. "And aren't you looking beautiful yourself, sweetheart?" she said as her daughter came in for a hug. "So it's a pretty costume." Nyx stuck her head and pawed the ground bashfully. "Granny, help me with the trickier bits," she confessed. "Well, it's still your work, and you look absolutely beautiful in it," Twilight insisted. Indeed, like mother and daughter, I say," Inkspot said with a smile. Nyx blushed like a rose. "I do hope he's being chased and complimenting Nyx like that." Disney blinked to look Inkspot over. They looked at her mother, then back to Inkspot, then sat on the ground, squealed with laughter. They both figured what she was laughing at, rolled her eyes. Nyx managed to get to her feet, but was still having a giggling fit. "You're gonna need an awfully big job to take her home in," she said, grumbling evilly. "By Miss, I mean the Flash Sentry over there." "Hi. Hi. I was just keeping an eye out for your date, Mr. Sentry. I'll be right back. I think we're gonna be hearing jokes about that all night, possibly longer." "I thought you said you were going to do the castle to meet the princess," Nyx said. Twilight nuzzled her. "The princesses can wait," she said. "The party doesn't even start for 2 more hours. Besides, I didn't want to miss your first night trick-or-treating." Nyx smiled happily. "Want to see our time machine?" "I do believe I would," Twilight said. Nyx gleefully hopped up and led her over to the redouble of the vehicle. "Woo!" The Inkspot started to turn around. "Who has one ORC?" Hello, Owl was just..." the book merchant said. The owl was perched on something behind him. The library owl was quietly, as always, abandoned his perch in the CNC time machine and floated over while no pony was paying attention. He regarded each spot with calculating eyes. "Who?" What? "Who?" That. Well, perhaps, but... "Who? Who?" "Yes, I know honesty is the best policy, but no, you're right." "Who?" "Well, I'll just, tell her." He looked inside the lovely mare. She had him CNC time machine and was exclaiming, brazenly, as Nyx pointing out different features. Just not tonight. It was both the evening. Tomorrow it is." "Woo!" "Seriously, I give you my word, I'll tell her tomorrow." "We all know you're one of those perverts who's been falling over." The doorbell rang. Persimmon Juice groaned and went to answer the door. She hated this holiday. She hated all holidays, but this one seemed to get her on nerves the most. She didn't like children, she didn't like candy, and she didn't like giving away things to beggars. She opened the door. 3 foals were standing there, eagerly holding out their trigger bags. "Trick or treat!" Persimmon Juice let him have it. "That's what I have to tell you, you rotten little beggars. I don't give out candy to foals, especially to measly little piggy grabbers like you. Now get off my parts!" If she's a known girl, old woman who hates trick-or-treaters, then why are the kids going here? No kids would be this stupid. The 3 foals stood screaming on the door. Dinky started to puddle up. Oh, it's all right, Dinky, Pitt said, patting her on the shoulder. He gave a scowl at the door. Mean old bot. Come on, this is the end of the street, Rumbles said. Let's get back to the wagon. The three trotted back to the time machine. Oh, look. Over there. Last house on the left. Your egg. Oh, no. I meant my version, the one with vampires in it. Oh. Yeah, my mom ruined that movie for me. The cutie marker sayers hadn't just planned anything for this night. They had formulated a battlefield strategy that would have left Napoleon sweating. Rather than trot and hoof everywhere, they rode the time machine to each street, dismounted, and split into groups of 2s and 3s, depending on the number of houses, then scattered each group into a house. They then worked their way around every street, conveyor belt style, hauled their loot back to the time machine, and dropped their small bags into their big bags inside the wagon, marked that street off the map, and then pedaled to the next street corner. Near strip mining Ponyville, for free candy with stunning efficiency. You know, with this plot setup, did we really need the cult later on? When it came to trick-or-treating Scrooges, though, they truly came out to their own. Scooter was sitting in the crow's nest of the time machine, chewing on a stick of licorice and trying to look tough. Anything to report? Steve's asked as the train came up. Yeah, last house on the left. No treats, yelled right into Dinky's face. A mean old crab, Pip agreed. Scooter grinned. Alright, time to break out the good stuff. So he ducked down to the conning tower and came back out with an enormous aerosol can on one hoof and a pack of toilet paper rolls in the air. What do you say? Saving cream or toilet paper? And just what are you going to do with that? Someone exclaimed. The foals jumped and spun around. It was Twilight Sparkle, town librarian. Somehow she snuck on without any of them hearing her. She came up upon the Crusader mobile just as Scootaloo held out the TP. She glared at him with adult viciousness. Pip, heedless of the protocols of Nightmare Night, blurted out everything. Hey, what we gonna TP that Huck Lady's house over there? He said, pointing with his ray gun. The air foals groaned and face off. Twilight frowned in puzzlement. TP? And just like that? Scootaloo gave her a long stuffy look. You're kidding, right? No, I am not. Scootaloo rolled her eyes. So you toss rolls of toilet paper all over some pun's house and make a big papery tangle. She said, it's like the oldest Nightmare Night prank ever. What? But that's terrible. It would make a terrible mess. Inkspot cleared his throat. That's the idea. He's muttering in amusement. I'm guessing you didn't do much trick-or-treating in Canterlot. Of course I did, Twilight said. I went out every Nightmare Night with my parents and properly chaperoned a group of well-behaved foals. By properly chaperone, you mean your big brother, your babysitter. So that would be a no. Oh, I just realized. This is all to have Inkspot, the male, be superior to Twilight in knowledge of Nightmare Night. Never mind! I'm sorry! I forgot! My apologies. This isn't a character building moment as it would be if the other main 6 members were there, but this is just to have the male be superior. Hey, it's Nightmare Night, Scootaloo said. Trick or treat, Seesaw's trick. Besides, she yelled at Dinky. That is not how you handle a problem with some pony. Twilight scolded. Whose house is it? The foals pointed. Come with me. Nyx, I want you to see this and remember it. Twilight marched off to the house, Nyx following dutifully behind. Twilight motioned for Nyx to stand at the bottom of the porch steps and went up alone to the front door. She rang the bell. The door opened. A sour-faced yellow pony with mustard green manes cleared out. Twilight cleared her throat and began to speak. Excuse me, ma'am, but I was... While warring, the sour-faced mare flung a bucket load of water straight into the unicorn's face, drenching her. Twilight stood there, dripping water and gasping in shock. The mare gave a hump of satisfaction and slammed the door in Twilight's smiling face. Nyx stood gaping and bug-eyed shocked as Twilight marched, dripping back down to the porch steps. Without words, he walked back to Scootaloo in the CNC wagon. Scootaloo didn't say a word. She really rolled her licorice stick from one corner of her mouth to the other, eyebrow raised. Well, Twilight said, flipping her wing bang back. Let's approach it, kids. Toilet paper stick's really good if you let it down afterwards. Just a suggestion. Without another word, she marched to where Inkspot stood. The stallion was sinking with strain of not letting. Alice was not holding. He hooted with laughter, clinging helplessly to Inkspot's back. Nyx almost let out a squeal of laughter, but stifled it. I'm guessing you want me to not see or remember this? She said, her voice wobbling with glee. Twilight grumbled as her boyfriend began using the magic to help dry her. A giggling Nyx followed suit, using her magic to help face her mom's definite hair. Not the lesson I wanted to impart. Off topic, but you guys remember that one fanfic I read, Sleebell Makes a New Friend, where Sleebell put all her effort into finding out about the old guy that was first a complete jerk, but then we found out he had a really tragic backstory, and Sleebell did everything she could to cheer him up, and soon he actually smiled and accepted her friendship and became a good person in the end. It's got nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to point out that was a better fic than this. As they stood there, Spike sniffed snails came up to behind them. They were wiping their faces with paper towels. Hey guys, what's up? Spike asked. Not much. What happened to you three? Twilight evaded. Well, Reba does his pranks. Watch out for those number 11 on the street next door. She raided jack-o'-lanterns to bar shaving cream. Ugh. Nyx and Twilight said simultaneously. What's going on here? Spike asked. Trick or treat? Either way, it's going to prevent occasional. Look. Twilight turned around to see the ZMC passing out super soakers, while Scootaloo and Apple Blue mounted what looked like a leaf blower on the roof of the time machine. Toilet paper hanger was strapped over to his snout and loaded with a double bag arch roll. Okay, you puppies, you know the plan, let's roll! Scootaloo shouted. The Ghosts and Phillies poured the time machine and began pedaling. The CNC floated down the street, rapidly approaching the offending pony's house. Scootaloo revved up the leaf blower. Instantly, a stream of airborne TP began unspooling off the roll and cascading down over the house. In moments, the house was covered in a blaze of light. How clever. Inkspot said, sincere honest adoration. It used to take me and my mates a better part of an hour to get a house that thoroughly bog-rolled. As soon as they were parallel to the paper-shrouded house, the windows on the time machine peeled on, and super soakers opened fire. Sprays of water doused the tissue paper, choking it into a gluey mush. High-pressure jets of water thumped and patted against the doors and windows. If Perseverance used to know what was going on, so you come to the door and find out. For good measure, Scootaloo fired off a couple of shaving cream water balloons from a melted slingshot, coating the mess with foam. Key markers and equalizers! Yay! They then rumbled out around the corner, heading for the next block at high speed. Twilight shook her head helplessly as Nyx laughed helplessly. They can't build a stage yet, or sew a dress, or fix a table to save their lives, she said. But that's gonna make something for Nightmare Night, and they turned to Star-Swirled appeared. A door opened, and there was an outraged shriek. Oh, what now? Twilight grinned. My preliminary studies indicate this is the part where we run for it. Giggling like a schoolgirl in a lark, she took off running, Inkspot and Nyx right behind. Spikes, Nymphs, and Snails could tell which way the wind was blowing. Hey, wait for us! They took off after the fleeing ponies as fast as they could, the Haltville wagon. I'm kind of stuck, guys, about that previous scene. I mean, on the one hand, she was a jerk. She was a bit of an ass, and trick-or-treat rules state that she needed to be tricked. On the other hand, why was she so grumpy? I feel like this was just a setup to pull a prank on an old woman just to be mean to her. Without any rhyme or reason. It just felt so flat, you know? Especially considering all the places that Ponyville is in. It just... Maybe I just don't see Ponyville having this type of woman. You know? This feels so out there. Kind of unneeded.